I'm sure you know this feeling of sitting down at your desk to work. Every part of your body would just rather do something else, whether it's scrolling on social media, checking email, watching Netflix, having a nap. And I used to be like that, but now I've trained myself to relatively easily be able to stay focused for a full 10-hour workday, with breaks of course. In today's fast-paced world, maintaining focus can feel like an uphill battle, right? Distractions are everywhere, and our brains are fighting to keep up. What if I told you there's a science-backed way to harness extreme focus and essentially skyrocket your productivity? So we'll explore the transformative power of the 4 pillars of flow. By diving deep into these pillars, we can unlock a level of productivity and focus that feels almost superhuman. Pillar 1, flow blockers. In today's hyper-connected world, our devices, especially smartphones, often act as chains, pulling us away from deep focus. Every ping, every notification or buzz is a potential escape route from the flow state. I remember a few months ago, I had a client that had kind of no concept of boundaries. So day or night, the messages would pour in, each one pulling me out of my concentration. It felt like trying to swim upstream, constantly battling the currents of all these distractions. And this constant barrage not only hampered my productivity, but also left me feeling drained and my thoughts fragmented. It was then that I stumbled upon the flow before phone rule. The principle is simple: prioritize deep, uninterrupted work before diving into the digital world. By setting clear boundaries and dedicating the first hours of the day to focus tasks, I found myself not just working faster, but also with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. You know, part of maintaining that razor-sharp focus for hours on end is making sure that I'm not constantly interrupted, and that's where my secret weapon comes in, Tango. So Tango is a browser extension and desktop app that helps users automatically document training guides with generated screenshots, text, and titles, and they also have very kindly sponsored this video. Tango was even chosen by Chrome Web Store's product manager as one of his favorite Chrome extensions. Let's say I want to show one of my marketing people how to write an article on LinkedIn. So I click the Tango browser extension, and once I'm done, I just click the green tick button and Tango will create the guide automatically. I can then edit the name of the guide to how to write a LinkedIn article, and that's the guide done. Note how there's an orange box that highlights the relevant box just to make it super clear and easy for the person receiving the instructional guide. I can then go ahead and save the workflow and share it by either copying the link or embedding it on a platform or exporting it as a PDF, which is what I usually do. Plus, Tango has an auto blur feature, so I don't accidentally share any confidential information. Tango's desktop app and browser extension are completely free to download. You can check them out at tango.us, and I'll also add a link in the description below. Pillar 2, flow proness, setting the stage for flow. So flow proness is the foundation upon which the castle of flow is built. Think of it as your natural inclination or readiness to dive into that state of flow. But how do you nurture this feeling to get there? One of the most transformative techniques I've adopted is starting my work almost immediately after waking up, feeding from pillar 1. I know it sounds intense, but hear me out. By diving into my tasks within the first 5 minutes of opening my eyes, I tap into a kind of a unique brain state, a blend of restfulness and alertness, perfect for flow. I remember the first week I tried this. The initial days were challenging, breaking the habit of reaching for my phone or lingering in bed. But by day 4, something clicked. My mornings transformed from sluggish to a lot more productive. So tasks that would typically take hours were wrapped up by lunch, leaving me with a sense of accomplishment and a huge amount of free time. And I think the key was, it was always embracing flow proness and setting the stage for concentration. Pillar 3, flow triggers. So flow triggers are like the secret ingredients in a recipe, turning an ordinary dish into a masterpiece. They're the catalyst that propel us into that hyper-focused state, making work not just productive, but also deeply satisfying. And I bet I'm not the only one here. When work felt monotonous, like I was just going through the motions, then I stumbled upon the concept of flow triggers. And I began by setting clear, tangible goals for each session. So instead of vaguely aiming to work on the project, I'd set a specific target like draft the introduction and outline the main points. And this clarity provided direction and purpose. Next, I looked for immediate feedback. Right, so for instance, after writing a section, I'd review it or even discuss it with a colleague. This not only refined my work, but also kept me engaged and motivated. But the real game changer was continuously tweaking the challenge to skill ratio. Right, so I started pushing my boundaries, taking on tasks slightly outside my comfort zone. For instance, if I was used to writing 500 words in an hour, I challenged myself to writing 600 words in the same time frame. And by integrating these triggers, my boring tasks transformed. It was like turning my work into a game where I was the player and the referee setting the rules. Pillar 4, the flow cycle. The flow cycle isn't just a sequence, it's a waterfall of productivity, each task trickling down and triggering the next. So understanding this rhythm can be the difference between brief, struggling moments of focus and sustained periods of peak performance. So we all get those projects where the initial phase, the struggle, feels daunting. Ideas just aren't coming and every piece of effort is just empty. And this is where most people throw in the towel. But overcoming this hurdle is where all the difference is made. By pushing forward, I found myself transitioning into the release phase. So it's like that deep breath before the plunge, a mental kind of decluttering. And then almost magically, I'd find myself in the flow state. Focus on the entire cycle when faced with that familiar feeling creeping back up. Don't back off. Instead, push through, stretch your attention span and train your brain. It's like conditioning for a marathon where every step, even the challenging ones, takes you closer to that finish line. Mastering the flow state isn't an overnight thing. It's a journey, one that needs consistent practice. Just how anyone refines their craft through repetition, achieving flow requires dedicating time and commitment. So I challenge you, just try some of these things, try the strategies, track your progress, and see if there's a change in your work and just your wider life in general. And if you like this video, I made another video titled How I Stay Focused for 12 Hours a Day. You can click on the video on the screen right here and watch that. And do check out this video's sponsor Tango, link in the description below.